It was a quiet, desolate stretch of land between Houston and Galveston, known as the Texas Killing Fields, a 25-acre patch of wasteland that became the final resting place for dozens of young women over several decades. The bodies were dumped in the swamps, hidden in the brush, and left to decompose under the hot Texas sun. This haunting location would become one of the most notorious crime scenes in American history, where serial killers hunted without mercy and families were left searching for answers. The first known victim was Colette Wilson, a 13-year-old girl who disappeared in 1971 after being dropped off by her band teacher. Her body was discovered 5 months later, decomposed and abandoned in the fields. This was only the beginning. Over the next few years, more young women began to vanish, including 14-year-old Brenda Jones, 12-year-old Brooks Bracewell, and 14-year-old Georgia Gear. All were found murdered, their bodies dumped in the same remote area. The cases had disturbing similarities: young girls, often hitchhiking or simply walking home, who vanished without a trace. Despite the similarities, no one knew who was responsible, and the investigation remained stymied by a lack of evidence. The area was vast and difficult to search, making it easy for killers to hide their crimes. It wasn't long before the fields earned their dark reputation, becoming a dumping ground for killers who knew they would likely never be caught. One of the most infamous cases was the disappearance of Laura Miller, a 16-year-old who went missing in 1984 after stopping at a gas station payphone to call her boyfriend. Her remains were found nearly 2 years later in the killing fields, just 60 feet from where another victim, 25-year-old Heidi Fye, had been discovered. Laura's father, Tim Miller, became a relentless advocate for finding his daughter's killer and bringing justice to the other victims. He founded Texas EquiSearch, a volunteer organization dedicated to finding missing persons, inspired by his daughter's tragic fate. Despite his efforts, the cases remained unsolved and the bodies kept turning up. In 1986, 19-year-old Shelley Sykes disappeared while driving home from her job at a Galveston hotel. Her car was found abandoned and her body was never recovered, but 2 men later confessed to her kidnapping and murder, although they refused to reveal the location of her remains. Over the decades, various suspects have been considered, including known serial killers who traveled through the area. Edward Harold Bell, a convicted sex offender, claimed in a chilling confession that he had murdered multiple girls in the 1970s, but his confessions were inconsistent, and no physical evidence tied him directly to the murders in the killing fields. Another suspect, Clyde Hedrick, was convicted of manslaughter in the death of a woman whose body was found near the fields, but he has never been charged with any of the other murders. The Texas killing fields remain an open wound in the community, a haunting reminder of the girls whose lives were brutally cut short. Despite decades of investigation, the mystery endures, with many of the murders still unsolved. The fields, overgrown and quiet, hold secrets that may never be uncovered, leaving families haunted by unanswered questions and the chilling reminder of the predators that once stalked the land.